predictive analytics,
Yes.
and something that you notice in construction is it's very much so focused on human as an output in a sense, where the humans are the ones building or using the equipment to help build these projects, and that basically means that it comes down to decision making with the human as an output as the output, I guess. So when it comes to this real-time data collection, do you see an application for it in maybe the workforce or on a job site as well?
Yes. So, for example, this was a good one in Singapore. Singapore has this population growth that is so rapid. The word is everyone in Hong Kong moved to Singapore. So it was just Singapore was like packed with people, but because there were so many people moving there, people who are not, they are in finance, they are not in construction. So everyone who's coming is not a potential labor for the construction.
Right.
So they had to come out, they had an extreme amount of skilled labor shortage. And in order to catch up with all these people moving to Singapore and Singapore's growth and being in need of these new skyscrapers and residential and office buildings and whatever they needed, they had to come up with this creative idea, which is now proven really great. That I think we should take that as an example. That they came up with PPVC, that's prefabricated, prefinished volumetric construction. So maybe like 60 to 80% of the entire construction is built within the factories. First off, it's nearly perfect because it's in the it's being built within the factory, and it doesn't have it's just so precise, everything, all the systems. By the time it comes to the site, it's already 80 to 90% finished. Whatever needs to be done, you just connect the utilities, etc., etc. But everything is prefabricated. Second thing, because of that, 60% of construction waste reduction. They don't have construction waste that we do. We just send it to the dumpsters. They don't have that. Also, because it's being built at the factory, now they are using robotics to do the construction, to build those prefabricated units at the factory. Robots work 24/7. And that just cuts so much time, say like 40% of the construction time is saved by using like bricklaying. It's not necessarily a machine-looking building. It could be a brick facade, cavity wall, typical building, but robots are the ones bricklaying, God knows how many times more than a human. So those are some creative approaches that are proven that it's working. And one of the buildings is, I believe it's the tallest one in the world that was made that way, PPVC. It's 1,900 units. It's a skyscraper and built prefabricated.
Wow.
Boom, boom, boom.
Is that considered modular construction technically?
It's definitely modular. Yes, it's definitely modular construction, but taking it to a whole different adaptive technology level that involves the robots, that involves the prefabricated, manufactured construction units, volumetric construction units. Yeah,
so that's interesting. You mentioned that there is a significant noticeable impact that the labor shortage is having on these cities. They're just growing extremely quick. We're also noticing that in the United States, I've heard a million people talking about it lately. It's been the hot topic about how can we make construction more productive, more efficient, and obviously that means safer. Yes, exactly. And that's actually the core principles of quant in general, is to increase productivity, increase compliance, increase safety across job sites, because unfortunately you don't have that option to do modular construction everywhere for like large scale infrastructure projects. I know our work in New York City, like we have a lot of very niche projects, either rehabilitation work, maybe at the George Washington Bridge or at some of the airports. You have extremely complex infrastructure going on there, and you can't just prefabricate a large piece, and you need that field component, which means you need the labor workforce in the field as well. So that's interesting that they've taken that approach, and they're able to take that approach, especially on such large magnitudes as well.
Yes.
But that also, implementing these new construction approaches and delivery methods, as well as the technology, comes with user adoption.
Yes.
So did you notice any challenges in the adoption of this technology in the countries you visited?
That was a difference that you could see. Like, again, when the government supports it and goes full on, they educate the people, no matter what their people's education background is. Like, a farmer is like pro on an app.
Yeah.
Beyond like understanding, like he didn't even go to school, but he's really good with his app and knows what to do because the government sent people to educate them. So it was like widespread and super democratic. But when there is no government support, then it didn't work the same way because they do have the same technology, they offer it, but then there is resistance that, like, for example, there were places that the technology was there, or robotic help was there, or AI was there, but people thought the robots will steal our jobs or AI will steal our jobs. On the contrary, like say in Chinese ports, most of the trucks that bring the shipping containers are driverless. And then once the truck with the container comes to the port, they have maybe like one person using the remote, so they are unloading with robotics, and then they are loading the shipping containers to the ships with those robotics, with a few humans are using the remote. So the truck drivers there, because it's supported by the local government and overall, nobody is complaining, I want to be a truck driver, and the robots are stealing our jobs. The former truck drivers actually have fulfilling nicer jobs, that they don't have the obesity problem, they don't have the health problems, they don't have this and that, and they do have alternatives that are given to them to educate them for other jobs, train them for other jobs, find what they could be good at, find something they are passionate at. I mean, there are, again, like when the approach is large scale, it was so much more productive, and it was proving that it's not AI against humans or for jobs. It's AI with humans to do better jobs and better use of your life for a living, so that you are not miserable just being stuck in this one position doing this one repetitive job that is not supposed to be, that's against human nature, so to say.
Right.
I thought that was fascinating.
Yeah,
to see.
and that's important too, because a lot of applications of AI can be fully autonomous, where it uses its predictive nature to provide you with an output that you can directly put in, or there's a human in the loop is the term, where it provides you something, someone gives it a once over, makes some tweaks here and there, and then uses it. But it's important, in construction, in more complex industries, that AI is perceived as an extension or a tool that can be utilized to increase efficiency. And so my follow-up question to you would be, what would maybe 2 or 3 key features or key important keys that would help increase the adoption of AI and technology in construction, in your opinion, from what you've seen?
Oh yes, I mean, definitely education, training, and showing it. Until you see it, you don't know what it can do. Once you see it, you're not gonna go back, because it only makes sense, and we need alternatives to show to these people who are afraid of losing their jobs, to show that they can be way more useful, happily fulfilled, doing something actually productive and more in line with the human nature, and just let these machines that are discovered do the work that nobody else wants to do, or you shouldn't be doing to begin with.
Right.
So I think training will be an important thing. Educating will be an important thing. By showing examples, I think if we just do a couple of them, if we do just one infrastructure project that's supported by a local government, or it will be the main way to just prove how it's done and what are the results of it. But besides that, I think providing alternatives, what happens after, what happens when we let AI and IoT help us. But not the one very important thing besides all these, just as important if not more, I wanted to mention that one of these technologies that I was super impressed with, that Taipei has a digital twin. It's digital twin technology. Taipei has a digital twin in a virtual platform where every single thing in the city has a copy in that virtual platform. So you can see what's going on besides the real-time data feeders from traffic lights. So like it changes, it organizes and reorganizes the traffic in real time. It sees like there is congestion here, it just reroutes every single, like it reroutes the buses. I know this from bus terminal design times from when I was the major capital projects director at the Port Authority. We were working on the bus terminal and we were reading the data of like many years of like how traffic lights work, how long is a red light, how do we calculate this, yada yada. So now we actually have these real-time data feeders, AI powered IoT monitoring systems where they can watch it in virtual platform, that they can see what's going on in real time. Not only they say reroute the buses, but if there's congestion there, they stop the trains and they reroute the subway trains too. So that for this one particular congestion locations, it's just amazing how everything just runs smooth. So there is never congestion anywhere, and you don't have to stop at red lights in a weird way, that you just keep going and going because things are changing. Green light is and red light length is just following that scale, the city scale AI. But the most important part I thought was disaster preparedness. Taiwan being an island that's prone to earthquakes and typhoons at all times, the digital twin is used to predict what could happen if a typhoon of that comes from this way in this magnitude, or if an earthquake with this magnitude with this shape, what could happen. And they have plans for evacuation routes, what to do. And again, all the citizens have the I myself was there for aftershocks of the 7.7 magnitude earthquake. Just to compare, unfortunately, I'm from Eastern Turkey, and we lost my parents' 6th floor apartment was, I could touch it after the earthquake. 7.7 is the same magnitude. 14 million people were affected, and my parents are still in like shipping containers because they couldn't build in 2 years, and just hundreds of thousands of people, and just thousands died, etc. Same magnitude, same year, Taipei had this earthquake. I was there for the aftershocks, 6 point, God knows, 5, 6. It just shakes a little bit, and then you just check it on the app under the table where you're hiding, and the app tells you like the evacuation route, what to do, how to do. Everybody is aware of everything. They only had 9 people died, and one of them was like, it was already after the collapse, and one person went to save her cats, and she like, it was just unbelievable how much difference it makes. And you don't have to use this word that I hate so much since COVID, unprecedented. It doesn't have to be unprecedented if you use the technology that's given and we already know how to. So I thought that was very inspiring that we could use. Right. This is one of the 3.
Yeah, no, that's important, because something that we're trying to do here at Quant is basically build a digital twin of a construction site.
Yes.
So there's digital twins that exist when the project is built, that is used for operations or for safety and evacuations, disaster preparedness. But the same concept can be used, even though construction is only going on for a few years, to help workers identify worker tendencies, what part of the site they're working on, and so forth, and then be able to come forward with more plans and better plans during construction, be more informed, and then it allows you to use those predictive analytics because you have that virtual site now, right?
I actually remember one thing that the workers complain about. They have this digital twin for the construction site, but then the real-time data feeders would catch the workers who didn't use PPE, like no hard hat,
Mhm.
the AI would show you, boop boop, zoom in. This person doesn't have.
Oh, so they're
it's
using
like,
cameras.
Yeah, so they have to. I mean, sensors have drones have AI powered cameras, and then sensors have AI powered visual. So it could catch like what's missing, what's extraordinary, what's out of the data that was given. But then this way, nobody actually forgets. To put on their hard hats, or they don't just remove it. And then after that, they had the death or accidents at the site went down so dramatically. It was just really, really, really impressive.
So we kind of skipped ahead, but that's perfectly fine, because I'm curious now. What are they in terms of safety compliance?
Yes,
They're utilizing, I guess, the AI cameras in looking at the job site and identifying PPE. But what about, like, say, job hazard analyses and those, like, ensuring compliance with those types of documents?
Yes, and I mean also they had. For example, Singapore had local law that every single construction, every single project has to be done in BIM, no matter what size. It could be an infrastructure project, it could be an apartment renovation. So you can never file a project without using BIM. And then once you have the BIM, it goes into digital twin or AI environment. So everything at the end of the day becomes one piece in BIM, then it becomes alive. So it becomes an ecosystem where you can watch it in digital platform and find answers for that. So at the site, the safety, for safety reasons, they use it for all of it. Even when you are installing your crane, jumping the crane, you have these, again, real-time data feeders, AI powered monitors, IoTs, that you can see the vibration, you can see the structural weaknesses, you can see the areas where it needs attention, that that you don't rely on people who may or may not be looking at it, or may or may not be missing it. And then it goes throughout the construction, and then after the construction, they put the sensors on, say it's a skyscraper, they put the sensors on the building itself. So that they can also follow it when, say, there's a seismic activity, then they can see from the sensors. And if there's a weak area, then they go maintain that one, so that before it collapses, etc. So if say there is an earthquake that affected the building, but it didn't go down, but it shows like where it needs structural stability, then you go support that areas. And just for it's also much more feasible and economic too, that you don't have to do all those investigations that you would do hands-on, our facade inspection and safety program style in New York City.
That's interesting, because I'm noticing an uptick in the application and use of sensors within construction and in terms of operations and maintenance as well. Something we used when I worked at the authority with you is the use of vibration monitors at the George Washington Bridge, which was relatively new. There was only one or two other bridges that we could really rely on for the use case. But it was during operations, obviously, in like the maintenance portion of it. But same type of concept. You put sensors throughout the bridge, and you'd be able to monitor as the bridge, went throughout and had its issues. You'd be able to have a much better understanding of what was going on. It doesn't require people to walk the cables and do inspections every so often. You can get it real time. And now in construction, the application of sensors and kind of tying it back to the adoption. Having something that's simple enough to just put out in the field, maybe at some of the entrances and some of the core working areas, capture worker data, capture worker tendencies, send it back to a main platform so that you get the real-time data. The adoption it's a lot less of a barrier to entry, because there's not much training that's required, if any at all, for the workers on site. It allows you to have much better communication with your workforce. And actually, something interesting that some of our customers do is they'll put sensors at muster locations and muster areas. So when they have like an evacuation, whether it's a mock evacuation or a real one, and all the workers go to the muster point,
Yep.
they have a sensor and all the workers can be accounted for immediately. And
Yes.
you know if anyone's left on site, and
Yes.
you can contact them like that.
Yes.
So that's that type of like safety and compliance as well, on top of everything else, that really is a key feature, I think, with some of the sensors that we're seeing on the
Yes,
field.
absolutely.
But something I wanted to dive a little bit deeper into, I know we spoke about a little bit earlier, construction delivery methods. I know they vary, and you mentioned a few of them earlier, whether it be CMAR or design build,
Yeah.
something that strays away from the traditional design bid build
Yes.
delivery method. Do you see an increase in efficiencies or adoption of technology depending on the delivery method?
Oh yes. First of all, 11 countries, 0 DBB.
Wow.
0 design bid build. That's no longer. it's ancient. We need to get out of it. At least for the infrastructure projects, none of them were design bid build. They had IPD, integrated project delivery method. They had design build. They had PPP, public-private partnership for mega projects and infrastructure. That was like the majority. And they have CMAR, construction manager at risk. This way, construction manager is taking some of the risk from the owner, working with the owner before anything happens, before the design, like during design phase, your CMAR is there with you, making sure that this is the risk management is done by the construction manager with the owner. So in the end, it's a low risk project for such high scale, that large scale projects. And the time it will take and the budget it will require because of the time it will take. DBB is, I don't even know if anybody remembered what DBB was. When I was there, I was just being quiet.
Yeah.
Because, it was one of the jokes. And the second joke was offensive. Every time I said I was from New York and I was building like infrastructure and skyscraper, they would always like calculate schedule, do like cost estimate, budget estimate, but then when they did the schedule, they would like say like how long it would take, and then they would say times 5 in New York. Like they would say it would take 5 times longer in New York. They were like, but like because safety and local
New York
laws.
is a
And I was
very
like,
unique place. Yeah, it's a
Yeah,
very
but
unique place to do work.
so it's a gray area.
It requires it, yeah.
Exactly, it's a gray area because they don't wait for the permits as long as we do. But
Right,
then
exactly.
we have to have permits, etc. But that was one of the jokes that they kept making it everywhere. I don't know wherever they are seeing these memes, but that was the common.
From an owner's perspective, it's their obligation to choose the delivery method. Is that correct?
Yes.
So they would choose which one is preferred for the
some
project.
of them are by the law.
By
You can't even do like you have to do PPP. Like for mega projects and infrastructures, most of them were public-private partnership because of the law requiring it. And and then this the IPD, integrated project delivery method, was for certain projects that you didn't have any other chance, just like the BIM rule, that you have to have a BIM project, everything has to be done in BIM and everything has to be filed with the BIM. And most of those BIM projects, when the law required BIM, it also required the IPD, integrated project delivery method.
Interesting. So the owners have their requirements for project delivery, but at the same, and you mentioned this earlier, it sounds like the owners or the government really has a strong focus on the integration of technology into these projects. Did you notice a strong focus on technology from the contractor side as well? Or was it more so them kind of getting led by the government to use these technologies?
Oh no, they adapted to it. They had to adapt to it because they were the ones who have the skilled labor shortage. And most of them, this is how you do business. Like they were already up to speed from. The thing is, I was really surprised because again, I worked in China back in 2010 through 2012, and it was just so different. I could not believe how much it changed. Since then, in all areas, like the whole region, entire region. For example, Singapore, this is not all about being fast, being economic, being they have this really strict sustainability goals. like when you go to Singapore, I knew Singapore had sustainability goals, and it's in the law that supports it and asks for it. You land in Singapore, they have the best airport in the world anyways.
Yeah.
But you go outside and you
Beautiful.
you just breathe oxygen.
Yeah.
And I couldn't believe how you just feel the change. You don't, it's not, you live through the change. So they do have that was really encouraging, I mean, for the entire planet, that they do have sustainability goals, and in order to get to those sustainability goals, contractors are on board, government is on board, owners are on board, agencies are on board, and people are on board, or they are being trained and educated to be on board. And it's free and given to everybody, so that the citizens have access to all this. So it was easy to adapt for most of the
Interesting.
countries.
So it's like almost like a closed loop where you have the owner's endorsement, you have the contractors who have no choice because you have to adapt or essentially die, right? Because you're going to have competition
Yeah.
completely
Oh, yes.
throw away all your profits.
Yes.
And if you don't have the right technologies in place, then you're not going to be able to compete with some of the other contractors that are doing things more efficiently with less people. So that's interesting. It's like a closed loop like that. So everyone buys into it, and then as an offset, as a byproduct, you also have with endorsement the sustainability element, which I wanted to touch on as well.
Yes.
A lot of times, and I think the United Nations does a really good job with this. Their 17 SDGs places not an equal, but it places a strong focus on the 3 pillars, not just environmental or economic. It has the social elements as well.
Yes.
And when it comes to the construction industry, a lot of times the social elements can be overlooked somewhat
Yes.
by the environmental ones,
Yes.
whether it be emissions or it be
Yes.
like waste, for example. But there's a big social impact with
Yes.
construction as well,
Yes.
which coincides with the safety elements.
Yes.
So they have that mentality over there
Yes.
that the social element, it's not just environmental; it's also a social
Yes.
process as well.
Yes.